Hello, my name is Gavin. This is Genre Books, and if you're watching this video, congratulations, we've made it through January. February the 2nd, week 13 roundup for the Read What You Own challenge. This challenge, if you don't know by now, created by Criminoli, this year hosted by Criminoli, supported, co-hosted by MJ at Reading This Life, Greg at Another Bibliophile Reads, and Crystal at Fiber Artsy. The challenge is to read a certain amount of books from your shelves before you buy a new one. And I'm glad I chose the book amount rather than the page amount, because some of the books I'm reading are shorter. I do sabotage myself by reading some of the larger books as well. That can't be helped. I'm going for 100 books. And this week I got to the halfway point. But not without trying to sabotage myself. I thought I'll read a poem, a long poem, but a poem. I can breeze through that. In the end, it's taken me most of the week because I've just got absolutely engrossed in it. It's Dante's Inferno. By the end of the first day of reading, I hadn't even finished the introduction. As well as the introduction, there is commentary on each canto. As well as the commentary, there are also the notes. There is a lot to take in, and I'm definitely going back to this book and rereading it at some point. I think I have what I need from it, from this reading, and what I needed from it is some context for my Project Rabbit Hole Bangsian fantasy. This is, in a way, one of the original Bangsian fantasies. Lots of the hallmarks of the Bangsian fantasy are to be found here. You have famous dead people. I say it's very Christian, but there are a lot of non-Christian people in hell. There are a lot of mythical Greek and ancient Roman allusions in the poetry. There's more than one video to talk about with this. I need a reread almost immediately, and I'm going to have to temper myself and come back to it when I have some proper time to devote to it. And before people start telling me this isn't a fantasy, there are maps. There are multiple maps. Fantasy books have maps. There's a video just on this map. There's probably a tag video. How many of these sins from the 9 circles of hell are you guilty of? Apathetic? Yes. Lustful, gluttonous? Yes, yes. Avaricious, spendthrift? Tick, tick. Wrathful, melancholic? Yep. Okay, I'm already down to circle 6 here. Heretic? Probably. Okay, circle 7. I think I'm safe there. Circle 8. Circle 8 is blimey. There's a lot here. Hey, I think I'm okay. I'm only sticking around the first 6 circles of hell. Oh no, blasphemer. That takes me down to circle 7. But I'm not, and I have never been, a Simonist. I am, I've got to say, in 2 minds about the translation. I think for the most part it works in using modern language because Dante was using the modern language of his time, using the Italian vernacular rather than the Latin. However, at the beginning of Canto 3, for example, there is possibly the most famous quote in Inferno, which the translator chooses to use a different translation for. I don't know if that's just willfully being different for the sake of being different. I don't know whether it's a more accurate translation, but surrender as you enter every hope you have is good, but it is no abandon all hope ye who enter here. It is something, however, when a 700-year-old poem drops an F-bomb on you in one of the later cantos. I will be devoting one of my Project Rabbit Hole videos to the Inferno and another Inferno as well. I'm not finished with Bangsian fantasy yet, and I'm definitely not finished with Dante. I want to reread the Inferno. I now also want to read Purgatory and Paradise. Let's read the entire Divine Comedy, but not just yet. And because my wife likes to encourage me when I read a book that isn't about aliens or cowboys, she bought me a gift this week. Nothing to say in this challenge. I can't receive gifts. I'm just not going to read it as part of the 100-book challenge. This is the Cambridge Companion to Dante. So this is going to have lots of information about the Divine Comedy and plenty else besides. There is, in the Inferno, a lot of inside politics and some fairly sour grapes and nursed wounds about 14th century and late 13th century Florence. So I've got no problem with getting interested in reading more about the Italian city-states at that time. I do, however, have this challenge to complete first. So I carried on reading. And the next thing I picked up was the next book in the Zane project that I'm running. After this video, I'll be recording the first video of my 50 Zanes of Grey, and it will concentrate on the Ohio River trilogy, of which the book I read this week, The Last Trail, is the final book. So I won't talk too much about it here. You can hear all about it later in the week. Suffice to say, I'm going to miss the characters from the Ohio River trilogy. I was a little bit uncertain when I began it with Betty Zane, but it has really grown on me. It's not without its issues, of which I will be talking, but in general, I just love his depiction of the frontier. And then yesterday was a new start. February the 1st, fantasy in February. And, as I've said in a previous video, thin fantasy. Let's get some of the slimmer fantasy volumes read to try and give myself a little bit of a boost with the Read What You Own challenge, because it's been a quarter of a year and I'm only now just over halfway through. I need to pick the pace up a little bit. And it's books like Moonflash from Patricia A. McKillip that will do so. It tells the story it needs to in 150 pages, and it's beautiful. I think this would almost count for the folklore in February reading event as well. It's fantasy, it's science fiction, it's beautiful, it's lyrical, it's deceptively simplistic. And yes, as you may have guessed, I rather liked it. So much so, in fact, that I will be, hopefully today, able to complete the sequel, which I haven't started yet, but is of a similar length. So when I said that that book told the story it needs to in 150 pages, I'm not entirely lying. Circle 5 of Hell for those interested, but interested to see where the story gets taken. I have not read it yet though, so that leaves me with the 3 books I've spoken about, 51, past the halfway point. We've rounded the horn we are on a very long final straight. But yes, that's positive. So there is going to be a little bit of a battle going on in the next few weeks. The shorter works of fantasy, the brisker, easier reads, hopefully easier, and two massive books. Swan's Way, from Remembrance of Things Past, In Search of Lost Time, and Beginning, The 1001 Nights as well. A book that I probably won't be finishing for a few months. What I have learned this week is that 14th century Italian poetry might slow me down, so I think I'll avoid it until this challenge is complete, as much as I liked it. Until next time.